Well, it's a rainfall of resources, Aquarius friends, for you this month, September 2026. Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my in-depth report just for Aquarius for September. The intensity of August continues into September because that second eclipse, the eclipses were the big things bringing the intensity in August, and even before, starting 4 to 6 weeks before then, starting in June, getting deeper into July. Super intense in August, and right into September, we are still there. That second eclipse at 4 degrees of Pisces, lunar eclipse, was just on the 27th, 28th of August. So days before September starts, we are still in this. And that moon, big, big, big moon in your second house of money, earned income, cash, material stuff. For those of you who are connected to the earth and environmental sustainable projects, this house also rules that arena of the material experience. But it is the one of the two houses in the chart that most is directly linked to money. Something's changing in your money world from this Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that has been at play since the end of 2024. You're going through a radical revolution of your finances. Bouncing back and forth between Pisces and Virgo, these eclipses every 6 months are activating your earned income sector and your 8th house, which is other people's money. And this month, you also have the sun highlighting Mercury, giving information and important conversations. And on the 10th, you've got a new moon at 18 degrees of Virgo. That new moon is in your second money house. Does that mean that every single person with Aquarius placements is going to see major money come in? Of course not. We are individuals with a very complex array of reasons of why things manifest the way they do. Some of these things we can see in the charts, and some of them only Spirit knows, okay? But I do know from doing astrology for 24 years that when those houses, which are fields of experience, those houses represent fields of experience we have as humans, when those sectors are highlighted by planets, planets mean information. Really, when we come down to it, what is beaming from the cosmos to us, light from the sunlight, information from the planets, it's information. And that information brings activity and experiences and focus to the fields of experience or houses that we have in our charts. And so that's why it increases the odds that there will be a rainfall of resources for Aquarius placements because of this level of important activity that is occurring. Relationships are very, very key at this time, not just because the sun is highlighting them through your 8th house of your deep relationships, money, other resources, intimacy, entanglement. So the 7th house here is the house of relationships, kind of pure and simple. Clients, significant others, partners, friends, family, everyone who we have a one-on-one relationship with. Your plumber, you have to get the plumbing work done, you give them the money, there's some sort of relationship there. Whatever it is, big and small, the 7th house rules that story. And you have Jupiter new in there for a year. At the very end of June, Jupiter started its first in 12-year cycle through the sign of Leo, which in the Aquarius chart is the 7th house. You really, this whole year between now, the middle of 2026 and the middle of 2027, is your best possible year to expand your relationships. If you're not in a relationship, it may be your best chance to find your perfect person, whether it's a client or a partner, a marriage partner, or a significant other, whatever. Jupiter is giving you luck and blessings and expansion here. And it's highlighting this story of expanding your relationships. The fact that we also have an Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle at play that we've had since March 2025 into early 2028. That other Pisces Virgo one, the money stories, that's been going on since the end of 2024 and will end, it's almost over, in the first part of 2027. But your me versus we, first and seventh house, and my stuff versus our stuff, second and eighth houses, are what are under these radical transformations through the eclipse cycle. And then we have these other transits. So in that Leo house, that relationship house, we had an eclipse in August, and now you also have Jupiter there. So this is a really, really major cycle for a rebirth in your relationship space, and things that you need help with, things that you need to evaluate, things that you need to repair, things where karma needs to clear. All of that is very actively at work in these sectors of your life. Yes, there are other things going on, but you can see, like, not much going on there. Venus, that's another story. We'll get there because that will have increasing prominence. We've got Mars and Ceres in Cancer moving through your sixth house of health. You might be getting very gung-ho on your health and wellness. This would actually be a great month to do something important with your health and wellness. This is an interesting month because we do not have any Mercury retrograde or shadow period, which is great. We don't have that confusion, the issues with scheduling and all of that, and the appliance breakdowns and communication breakdowns and miscommunications that Mercury brings. That will come in October and November. But what we do have is Venus in its shadow period of the retrograde that's going to happen in October. As of August 31st, Venus went into shadow. That is the building up process to the retrograde. One of the main teachings that I've had to really help convey this to the general populace, because this is very important to know, is that retrogrades don't just happen the dates that they go retrograde. I've been very loud about this, and I'm very pleased to see over time it's kind of taking up that the shadow periods are part of the discussion, because if you don't factor them in, you're missing a massive amount of information that Venus is beaming down from us, and opportunities and chances to not have more trouble than you need to. So Venus starts its shadow period in every day of September. It deepens it. It's going to primarily be retrograde in the sign of Libra. It will go into Scorpio, be a little bit retrograde in Scorpio, and then will do most of its retrograde stuff in Libra. And Libra rules the seventh house. Okay, so we see, when I was telling you that it's very much all about these sectors for you, it's not just coming from the obvious placements of those sectors, because the rulership is important. So Venus rules the seventh house. Venus is going in retrograde. Venus is in the sign of Libra. And so you're asking questions. You're asking questions about your relationships. But there are a few very important things you need to know. Or actually a lot more than a few. I'll be downloading this information to you. Every report that I have, I'll be giving you a little more and more while I reiterate the basics. I've studied Venus retrograde for a very long time. I have probably what is maybe, that I know of, the world's biggest collection of Venus retrograde blogs and other sets of information. I have a book that has a bunch of this in it. This is one of my areas of focus, okay? Now, I'm going to give you some important points, but I also want to tell you about my Secret Star portal, because of AI scraping and the industry is changing, and the way that creators like me can monetize is changing. I've been starting the process of moving hundreds of public blogs that I have and other resources into this subscription Secret Star portal. So all of my Venus retrograde stuff, which you might not have even known existed, that's one of the benefits, I think, of compiling it here. You can get it all there. So if you want to become an expert on Venus retrograde and really get this cycle, then definitely go to secretstarportal.com and register there, and you can just look for the Venus retrograde section. But I'll give you some tidbits. Venus retrograde puts Venus goggles on, as I like to call it. You may not be seeing clearly in the things that Venus rules: love, relationships, beauty, design, aesthetics, money, finances. That's a lot of ownership for a massive amount of arenas of life, right? So what you need to know here is that if you make a very big decision during the time of this cycle, September, October, November, December, with it being the strongest in October and November, but certainly every day we get into September, it's building, building, building. If you make a big decision and it's in your hands, if it's out of your hands, sometimes things happen, it's out of our hands. But if it's in your hands, there's a very good chance you'll look back and think, what was I thinking? I've seen many a person go through a divorce during this cycle and say, I'm just going to give them everything. I want to be rid of them. And just have this absolute, just ready to throw it all out. If they've spoken to me first, I've been able to guide them around, get your fair share of what you deserve from this, because you will very likely regret it. Because when Venus straightens out, you look back and you think, where is my money or resources and sustenance that I put into that relationship? And you leave with nothing. So things like that. People getting tattoos, drastic body changes, cosmetic surgeries and such. Venus retrograde is a great time for enhancements that are low risk, low stakes, but the big things, it increases the chance of a problem, okay? So things like a henna tattoo. Have your tattoo person give you a henna tattoo and make sure that's where you want it, and when Venus goes direct, then do it. Things like that. So I'm giving you these examples. Even if that's not relevant for you, you can take that information and run with it, because you can think, how do I apply this to my situation? You may turn out getting a material item of absolute desire that you've had. It can come in a Venus retrograde. That happens. If it's affordable, if you check it out to make sure it's not a lemon and you have security about that, like a certified used car that has good assurances, things like that, you could have major blessings come. And the other thing, and this is very sad, and I don't like to say this, but not everybody is following my channel. Not everybody is getting educated on the fact that they shouldn't give away their items of value for nothing during Venus retrograde. And most people will wind up giving their items away at dirt cheap prices because they're panicking and their self-esteem is wavering and Venus is doing its thing, and they have no idea that these unconscious factors that are directing our lives are directing them to make these decisions, and bargain hunters can scoop them up. This is another way that resources can rainfall on you at this time. That's a more general one. These other two were specific to your chart that I discussed earlier, but this is another level of it. It's not the time to put all of your money in one basket or in one investment, because that is a high stakes thing. You ask yourself, is it high stakes? Maybe you shouldn't be doing it during Venus retrograde. You might have a different path and you have to follow your intuition, and there are other things that are at play, and you need to be autonomous in making your decision. But this is a very strong piece. During this Aquarius-Leo eclipse cycle that started in March 2025 and will go every 6 months into early 2028, but basically every 6 months it rises to the consciousness and it kind of settles into the new normal, and then rises to the consciousness, moving along a continuum. But you're reshaping who you are, how you present yourself to the world, your identity, how you see yourself, how other people see you. And this Venus retrograde cycle is going to hold a lot of information and tie in to this eclipse cycle. And you're still really under the influence of that Leo eclipse that happened, which is, linked to your polarity here. Things that involve experimentation are great for this month and the rest of the year. Things that involve something low stakes. I'm giving an example of something that I had happen just to help you understand the Venus retrograde premises here. If it's low stakes, easy to fix, can have a major upside but not a downside. It's rare that those things happen, but they do exist. Those are the kind of things for Venus retrograde. You try something, you throw stuff on the wall and see if it sticks. One time, most of the time, every day I have people contacting me asking me to sell their stuff. I don't sell other people's stuff on my channel. I try to keep it clear for you. But one time only during a Venus retrograde, someone contacted me and wanted to be an affiliate for my Astrology Mastery certification course, okay? They said, I want to, I think I can do a good job promoting your course. And Venus was in retrograde. Now, if I were not as educated as I am about Venus retrograde, and I was partly educated, enough to be dangerous, I might say, Venus is in retrograde, shouldn't make a decision. That's not true. It's not black and white. It's gray. So the more you understand the energies, which is why I'm taking the time to explain it, the more you can get it. He wanted an affiliate link. No downside to me, no risk, as long as I felt they were in integrity, they matched the vibration of my work. There were things that I had to check out to make sure that it was in alignment. But it was all upside potential for me. Give them a significant portion of, affiliate payment for anything that they sold. And that proceeded to start a year and a half of the most prosperous time I've ever had doing this work. And true to a Venus retrograde cycle every 18 months, after after around 18 months, it started to fizzle out because Google changed the algorithm. And, so there's been a very long series of things going on for creators that, are really changing things. But you will likely have things like this come up. People may come to you with things. Are the stakes high? Are you going to lose your butt over this? Don't do it. You got to make up your mind. Again, your intuition is going to reign supreme. There are other factors. But in general, the only time I had a business, I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. The only time I've had a business really not work out is when I did it. I launched it during the Venus retrograde. I knew about it, but I have Aries rising, so I did it anyway. This was a long time ago. And I lost like $20,000. It was a fun experience. It was a lot of stress and whatever. So now I get to tell you guys so you don't make the same mistake. If you have a launch, you're launching your big business, your life work, your life purpose. Unless you want it to be short term, then consider launching at a different time. Right? So you can track this. In that Secret Star portal is also my 2026 and soon to be my 2027 retrograde tides planning calendar. Okay, so the more you are aware of these forces, the more you can align with the natural rhythms. All right, so in a nutshell, Mars is going to make you hyper-focused on home, family, housing, real estate. Ceres is there too. You may be reaping some rewards from work you've done in the past in these arenas. Mars is going to make you super jazzed up about your health, wellness, your daily routine, clearing stuff out, clearing out clutter. If you're an animal person, this is going to accentuate your animal space. If you are the spouse of an animal person, sorry, your animal spouse, animal-loving spouse will probably get a pet. I have my moon in Aquarius, so whenever I read this chart for you, I'm also reading a layer for myself. So don't tell my husband that because I already have 8 pets and he's not an animal person. So anyway, that's why I mentioned that example. Mars in the 6th house will make people very excited and have a lot of zealotry applied towards the things that the 6th house rule. Getting your systems together, getting efficiency. It's also a pet and animal house, okay? And your health and wellness and blah, blah, blah. So this could be an amazing time to find perfect practitioners. I already talked about the relationship space. You may find practitioners that absolutely change and in some cases save your life at this time. There's so much luck and so much expansion around finding the perfect people for what you need for your evolution. And this is a massive evolution Aquarius is going through. Our date I want to note is September 26th. There is the full moon in Aries. Okay, this is going to highlight the 3rd house for Aquarius. I'll get to what that means in a second. Fullness, completion, fruition, drama, for better or worse. And Aries is very dramatic, so it might be extra dramatic, very fiery, all about independence and autonomy and your individual direction and your unique expression. Something may come to fullness. If you've got a milestone occurring for something at this time, don't stress because it's getting into the retrograde. If it's coming to you and you can't do anything about it, then don't worry about it. It's the decisions you make. It's the things you conjure. It's the things you try to force. It's the things you try to make happen that you really have to watch with these retrograde things. If something just falls in your lap or naturally occurs at this time, then it's fine. So you may see that. You may have these important milestones occur. This is happening in your house of communication, transportation. I talked before about maybe getting your perfect car. This could be a perfect month for that. I got my car that I love, love, love in a Venus retrograde. Again, I told you, Aquarius moon. So you might see that. Brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, all highlighted at this full moon. Maybe you'll get news or information or a chance to see them, or there'll be drama, or there'll be conflict, or there'll be amelioration. One other important thing that Aquarius needs to know is that the Venus retrograde and these long and short-term Aries transits, and there are a bunch. Long-term Neptune, Saturn, Eris, short-term Pallas Athena, Vesta, and that full moon on the 26th, are all accentuating this 3rd house. And then Venus is going to be doing its long retrograde, very much focused on the 9th house. So this polarity has to do with taking in information and putting it out. Reading, writing, learning, teaching, education, advancing your studies or bringing things that you know into where you're teaching. Venus also in this 9th house can be doing something with travel or immigration or international business. So you'll see those themes present for a while to come as well. All right, so I've given you some dates. If you want the best and the worst aspect dates of the month in my sweet and salty report, go to anniehelpsyou.com right now in another browser. Click on Unleash, put your name and email address in there. In the welcome letter will be a link to the archives. You could search for September 2026 astrology. And I do a write-up. I do all my own writing, no AI. So you can just get a handle on the best and worst dates. If you want to align important activities, you can see the dates there, see what you're working with. Look out for my full moon and new moon information around those times. New moons, I haven't been doing a YouTube video, but if you go to anniehelpsyou.com/astrology, or you just go to anniehelpsyou.com and click on astrology, you will find my player page that has my podcast player, my YouTube player, and I do a nice write-up for the new moon as well as individual reports for the houses and tell which sign, which house, which videos to watch. So I do cover you there, and you can look out for my full moon report. If you're a late degree Aquarius placement, so like February 15th through the rest of the sign or 23-degree Aquarius placements through the rest of the sign, I suggest you also listen to my Pisces report because your very late degree friends will actually benefit from both readings. They'll both be true for you. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.